Is there anything more futile than war? There is the concept of a just war. Churchill described World War II as a fight against a monstrous tyranny, and of course that was true. But World War II grew out of World War I, or the Great War as it was initially described. A war which arose why? Seemingly just as an inevitability that no one could work out how to avoid. The cross-linking of treaties, entered into to provide security, only leading to self-inflicted misery on an unimagined scale once a very small wick was lit. An Archduke's driver took a wrong turn in 1914. An anarchist took the opportunity on seeing Archduke Ferdinand and killed him. The treaties went into effect one after the other, and Europe became a muddy, blood-soaked battleground. John Singer Sargent painted Gassed in 1919, when the horrors were still fresh, when soldiers were still in hospital hoping that when the bandages came off they would be able to see, where the limbless abounded, where men gasped for breath through scarred lungs, and others screamed in insanity from shell shock. The painting was near the end of his career. He had spent a lifetime creating wonderful fresh works, beautiful portraits, stunning clothes, and special moments. But after travelling to near the Western Front in August 1918, he was struck by the scene of men gassed. Mustard gas is anti-life. It produces scarred lungs, scarred eyes, and burned skin. It was part of the toolkit of trench warfare, itself a barbaric and futile military strategy. The painting was a commission. It was to be the central painting for Britain's Hall of Remembrance for World War I. Although the theme given was Anglo-American cooperation, he moved beyond a propaganda piece, instead choosing this scene, a scene of the humanity and cost of the Great War. The painting is huge, over 6 metres wide and 2.3 metres high. That's 20 feet wide and nearly 8 foot high. The men in the painting are almost life-size on the canvas. The painting is a prominent item in the collection of the Imperial War Museum. To stand in front of it is to be enveloped in the scene, all of our peripheral vision filled horizontally and vertically. The colour is close to monotone, the colour of mud and the khaki uniforms designed to blend in with it. The sky is full of smoke, the light from the obscured sun filtering through, providing shafts of weak light. The sky looks dead. The ground is devoid of any life apart from smudges of grass clinging on. In the distant sky, biplanes and flak. To the right, guy ropes. They are being led into a medical tent, possibly to recheck their bandages and sight. Behind the men, incredibly, a football game is going on. Enjoy life while you can, for tomorrow is certainly uncertain. Best not to focus too much on the wounded. Perhaps they are themselves the recently not too badly wounded. Behind them, medical tents, which must have been overwhelmed because of the numbers of men lying outside on the ground. The gassed men. There are multiple rows, all still alive. Those behind the line of walking soldiers, numbers receding into the distance, those in front in various stages of misery, one drinking out of his canteen, others trying to get comfortable, then the distant line of gassed soldiers, and finally the main line of soldiers, the focus of the painting. Each man's eyes are covered with a bandage. Each man can only move by placing his hand on the shoulder of the man ahead, who in turn does the same. The line is under the control of a medical orderly who is holding the chest of the first man and who has turned around to call out to the following soldiers to mind the step as they are in transition from a dirt track to wooden duckboards. The third man, hearing the instruction, lifts his boot almost comically too high, because he can't see, of course. A man from a family, maybe a father, certainly a son, maybe a husband, a man who went to school, had dreams, had plans, now reduced to being an object of pity and embarrassment. While it may not necessarily be the focal point, to me this is the pivotal point of the entire painting. The crushing moment of realisation when we, the viewers, suddenly really see the blindness of the unfortunate soldiers, realise how helpless they have become, pan out from that sight into the acres of similarly blinded men laying on the ground, catch our breath at the waste, the misery, the lost potential, the futility of all this for the few yards that were gained or lost yesterday in the trenches. The man behind him, helmet off, what's the point anymore? The man behind him, grasping with two hands on the fellow in front, wondering where he is being led and what will be the outcome. Two behind him, holding onto a strap with one hand, a man speaks to one on the ground. "How long since you were gassed? Can you see anything yet?" But as he strains for an answer, the line moves on, pulling him forward. Sargent, a renowned artist of the beauty of life, a man whose entire life has been based on seeing, really seeing, has turned his eyes and hand in this masterwork to portraying the front. And it's not a brave soldier calling his fellows to join him over the top, not a brave charge, not even a battlefield rescue, but an aftermath, the cost, the blind leading the blind, surely a metaphor for World War I itself. Sargent died in 1925, 6 years after he painted this. He never got to see where the industrialisation of war would lead, never saw cities being bombed. Other artists had to respond to these horrors. Picasso responding to the bombing of Geurnica before World War II had even begun. Artists Toshi Maruki and Iri Maruki responded to the bombing of Hiroshima in the Hiroshima panels, and MAC Wiliams' red-drenched depiction of the Vietnam War. All of these using art to try to understand, to digest, even just to cope with the insanity of humanity killing humanity. Sargent has captured the futility, rows and rows of ruined men, and they were the comparatively lucky ones, at least still alive. Can art change history? I think it can. Did this one change anything? One can never know for sure. There are many factors that go into a decision, and maybe this was one of them. But this we know. Mustard gas was outlawed by the Geneva Gas Protocol of 1925, and trench warfare never again became a go-to strategy for warfare. New horrors no doubt await in future conflicts. Autonomous drones, artificial intelligence, the mechanisation and industrialisation of war creates its own economic and geopolitical momentum. May artists now, like Sargent then, help us all see through the flag waving and ponder instead the cost and futility. Well, that was certainly bleak, wasn't it? And one of the things art does for us is it gives us insights into things we may not have really understood. Art takes us and hits us at an emotional level, and it is through art that we gain a greater understanding of some of the things that humanity inflicts upon itself. Well, maybe we'll do something a bit brighter next time. Please like and subscribe, it does help, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.